That team's so different. Oh, man, let's go to the lines. Let's go to BPA. Brian and Paula, have you been introduced to BPA?
I have not.
Oh, boy, he's my best friend on Twitter.
Really?
Yeah, we
Are you being sarcastic right now?
I am a little. I even got BPA to laugh.
Did you block
I got BPA to laugh. I did not block BPA. I'll follow. He's one of the few guys I reply to on Twitter these days.
You didn't even mute him?
No, I would never mute him.
I mute people like
you replied to me basically like your post game was starting last night. I was like, man, jeez.
I know. Hey, hold on, BPA.
Yeah,
literally replied to him on a tweet 45 seconds before we went on air on the post game show.
Nice.
That's how much love I have for BPA.
Yeah. Hey, I got a lot of love for you too, as you know. I think nobody played well last night, really, and I think that was a coaching game where Kerr got, and look, Denver's great, by the way. Denver's great. There aren't that many options, but I can tell you the only option is to get Jokic out of the paint on defense, which either means you put him in a bunch of pick and roll up top, or you have a guy he's guarding who can shoot. And I think if you go back to that game, they should have won a few months ago, where Jokic made the game winner. Really, their best stretches in that game came when Sarge was at the 5. And granted, Sarge can't guard Jokic, but neither can Draymond, right?
Yeah.
And so what Sarge did was pull Jokic out. He couldn't just sit under the basket all game. And it's pretty clear. There was nothing at the rim outside of maybe Kuminga just going in and trying to dunk over him or something. But you're going to have to get him out of the paint somehow on defense, or it's not going to happen against Denver. They've been able to do that in the past. In the past, it seems to be a struggle now, even with Minnesota and Gobert, and they seem to have a really hard time dealing with bigs or exposing bigs. Bigs that shouldn't be able to guard out on the perimeter, but Kerr doesn't put them in action to expose it. So. Yeah, that's a coaching problem.
BPA.
Right
Anyway. Real quick, BPA. Let me ask you two quick things here. One, the extension with Steve Kerr. Were you surprised? Were you happy about it? 2 years, $35 million. And then when Draymond Green says, hey, man, we are legit title contenders. What do you say to that? So a two-part question there. One on Steve Kerr and one on Draymond Green basically saying, hey, we're legit title contenders.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a Jim Park disciple, right? So,
oh boy,
I think that Kerr deserves an extension. He's not a perfect coach. I wish he had, another guy on the bench with him, right, to help him a little bit outside of Atkinson. But he deserved it. Are they? I don't know what they are right now. I'm not willing to throw in all the optimism of the last month because of this game, because they played, Denver's superstars played well, and our one superstar played terrible. And so it's going to be tough to win an NBA game that way. I don't know that you can really look at it any other way. Denver outplayed them. They're better than us right now. They're better than everyone else in the league. But, if you're going to go after him, you're going to have to do something with Jokic, because he's just sitting there in the paint on defense, and he's not moving.
I agree. That's a good point.
It takes, and we aren't the shooting team we used to be, right? Meaning we have more guys that want to make, go to the rim or make plays in the paint, and it was not there. You're going to have to get him out of there if you want to beat Denver.
No, that's a good point. You got to, and Pete, you've been saying that all morning. You got to get Jokic in actions. You got to get him running up and down, and that's where Draymond Green comes into play. He has to be aggressive offensively against the Joker. You got to make him work. And Joker played the pass with Draymond Green last night, dared him to shoot. And that's going to rear its ugly head in the playoffs. When the playoffs come around again, they're going to say, Draymond, Looney, whoever is playing the 5, go ahead and shoot it. And you know what? For that matter, Andrew Wiggins and Kuminga are going to be dared to shoot the 3. They're going to continue to dare those guys. They're going to say anybody but Steph, and to a lesser degree, anybody but Klay Thompson. It is what it is. And they haven't beat Denver. Denver's had this blueprint. As BPA said, they haven't won in 2 straight seasons against Denver. They're the first team to sweep a season series against the Warriors since the Memphis Grizzlies did it back in 2011, 2012, and 2012, 2013. 2 straight years the Warriors have Not win a game against Denver.
Yeah, they just don't match up, and they're the defending champs, and you get that. But here's the thing: like I understand that fans are always right, and I understand that you can feel how you want as a fan, and you want to criticize Steve Kerr. I get it. Like that comes with the position, and coaches know that. But I was watching the ABC pregame show the other day with Bob Myers and Stephen A.
Yeah.
Stephen A. said, and I know it's Stephen A., but he said that Steve Kerr is one of the top 5 coaches in NBA history. And that's why he got the $17.5 million, and he deserves it. And I was kind of along those lines on Twitter the other day. I'm like, they just don't give $17.5 million to a guy that forgot how to coach overnight.
Right, no doubt.
So like when I hear all this criticism, and I understand it because I see what you're seeing, I don't understand it. Like I don't understand the blame the coach mentality based on a guy that's won 4 championships and just got paid more than any other coach in the history of the NBA. Minus Pop, but Pop's team president too. So that's why he's paid a little bit more. He's got dual roles.
Well, Pops gets criticized too. Spoelstra gets criticized. It's part of the business.
Right?
It comes with the territory. And Steve Kerr, I think at times, look, earlier this season he said, look, I'm the Final 5 lineup. Because to me, the biggest issue was the team coming into the season, not so much that they were small and unathletic and not as athletic as most teams in the NBA, but it's also, okay, who cares who's starting? What's going to happen in the final 5 minutes of the game?
Right.
That's where you're going to make your money. And it's been a whirlwind for the Golden State Warriors in the final 5 minutes. Guys are not happy not finishing.
They scored 16 points in the fourth quarter.
16 points. Denver shut them down. That's one thing here. But, you know, when it comes to Kerr and feeling the game, like you've had, I keep throwing the Sacramento example out because that was the perfect one. That's the one that just comes to my head right away. That was a game for Steve Kerr to say, you know what? I know I'm loyal to my guys. I'm loyal to the guys who won championships, and I don't blame them for that. I would be too. I'm going down with the guys who have brought me to these heights and helped make me a top 5, top 10, top 15 coach all time. But at the same time, there's got to be a pivot point, right? Okay, I know Clay is slumping a little bit. Let me go to Moody here to finish this game. Forget the Phillies. Guys got to check their egos, right? That's what everybody says. Check your ego, check your ego, check your ego. It's for the betterment of the team. Well, I don't think Steve Curry's coached to loyalty at times, and then sometimes he does have a feel, and then sometimes his feel gets away from him because he's taking out guys who are hot. Like you brought it up, Klay Thompson's playing yesterday. We've seen Steve Kerr do this. He started a 5, and then to start the second half, he goes, let's go with this 5. I may go small. I may go big. I've seen this throughout his entire tenure. So last night was a perfect example where, boy, Klay's rolling. They have to honor Klay Thompson. Maybe you do start him in the third quarter, bring Pods off the bench, then let him breathe a little bit and see what's going on out there. Steve Kerr's been inconsistent with his field this season, in my opinion. And so I'm not saying he's a bad coach. I'm not saying he can't coach. He's one of the 5 best coaches in this league. But I don't think he's Teflon. Like, he's not Teflon. The same thing with Kyle Shanahan. In my opinion, Kyle Shanahan gets tight in big games. I'm not saying I want a new coach, but they're not blameless. If we could blame the players, we could blame the coaches too. No, it goes hand in hand.
No, there's a lot of responsibility that goes with making the money he's making, with the resume that and the expectations of Warriors fans and what we expect out of him and the team. I get that whole thing. But like, did we mention that all of a sudden the Nuggets made an adjustment and they took Klay out of it?
Yep.
That he only got 3 shots in the second half because they said, okay, well, it's Klay that could beat us tonight, and we're going to make those adjustments and take him out too.
That's where the Kerr cynic will say, well, where's his counter to that adjustment? Because you had to know an adjustment was coming, and once the Nuggets made their adjustment, the Warriors couldn't do anything about it. It felt like they had no adjustment.
So that's just
it felt like it was just hero ball after a while.
Well, Monte, when that happens, that just means that they have more athletic, better personnel.
They do.
It just comes down to that.
And the Warriors are going to face that every night.
If you make adjustments and you know the adjustments you have to make and they're not working, that means they have better athletes than you.
Well, FP, that could be the story of this season. The Warriors, more times than not, in this league this season, they're going to go into that game being the less athletic team. They are. That's going to happen every single night. Even the Detroit Pistons have more athleticism. Doesn't mean they're a good basketball team. But to that point about athletes and being athletic, the Warriors are one of the least athletic teams in this league, if not the least athletic team.
And I understand that coaches deserve criticism. I get that. They're not above it. But here's the thing, Bonte. Like, when you live it, and that's your life.
Yeah.
And wins and losses are your life. When you lose a game, you go home and you flip-flop and you stare at the ceiling all night and you don't sleep. And you want what's best for your team, your organization, your coaching staff. Don't you think that coaches that have had success and are smart are going to put their teams in best scenarios to win that game?
That's the goal.
Whatever that is.
Yep.
In the second half of the Super Bowl, when everyone was screaming, why aren't the Niners running the ball? The Chiefs made the adjustments. They put another man in the box. They were run blitzing. They took Christian McCaffrey out of it. And where I'm at in the bar, everyone's like, why aren't we running the football? Even Tony Romo said it.
Right.
But aren't you watching the adjustments they've made? So you think Kyle Shanahan in the biggest game of the year would just become dumb all of a sudden and go like, well, geez, I'm going to throw it now, even though McCaffrey could get 8 yards a carry. He started throwing it because he knew that they were stopping the run. They took that away. And you're not going to run McCaffrey into a brick wall.
Right.
You don't think that Steve Kerr on a nightly basis is trying to put his team in a position to win a game because that's their life?
No doubt.
We turn it on at 7 o'clock and we watch a game for a couple of hours and think we know more than a coach that does it for a living.
No, that's idiotic.
4 championships?
No, that's idiotic. That's
I'm just trying to put like a perspective on this that maybe is off.
Right.
But like I believe this in my heart that when you do it for a living and that's your life, you want to win a game more than we ever as fans want to win a game.
No doubt.
And you're going to put your team in positions to succeed. You are.
BPA brought up Jim Park. He's a guy on Twitter who goes, "That Steve Kerr says he can't coach." I don't think anybody's saying that at all. We're not saying that he can't coach. We're not saying that he can't make adjustments. He won 4 championships, right? He's a good coach. It's a great coach.
It doesn't make him above criticism.
But it doesn't make him above criticism.
I get that.
And with this team, watching this team and the way it played out, like, to me, it's an absolute joke that Kuminga at one point this season was out of the rotation, not playing. Against the Portland Trailblazers, you're down 11. It's like, oh, well, Jake Hagel saved the day, and he plays well and doesn't come off the court. He's been here for 3 years.
You're hamstrung as a coach in coming on this station and telling fans the reason why, the real reason why.
Right.
Because if you do say what's going on behind the scenes, you have a reason, and you say it publicly, you lose respect of your team, you lose respect of the guy.
But then all of a sudden,
he had his reasons.
He had his reasons.
I don't know.
He had his reasons, but then you hear Draymond Green say he's our bona fide number 2 option. It's like, damn, our bona fide number 2 option in mid-December was out of the rotation? What the hell's going on here? Right. So Steve Kerr hasn't had I thought last year Steve Kerr didn't do a great job because it felt like it was 2 different basketball teams last season. Obviously, you had Punchgate. The season, to me, was over. What's that? Right hand connected to Jordan Poole's jaw. Basically, the season was fractured. But you think about that last season. It was like, oh, man, the starters got the best net rating in the NBA. Looney, Draymond, Wiggins, Clay, and Steph. But a lot of times, those veterans blew a lot of leads late in the game. And what I mean by the 2 teams here, you would play your 5, and you're coming in with the youngsters and Wiseman, Moody, and Kuminga, and Poole. Now, Wiseman may not be able to play ever in this league. He may not. He's getting DNPs in Detroit. May not be able to play. Just may be a bad
This is James Wiseman?
Yeah, we love you, James Wiseman. But instead of and one thing Steve Kerr has done well this year is finally integrating the youth with the veterans. Because the youthful guys like Pajivsky or Kuminga or even Trace Jackson-Davis, they can help extend the careers of a Steph, Clay, and Draymond Green and help them get to the 50-50 balls or whatnot. You need athleticism. You need that youth. But last year, I thought Steve Kerr did a horrible job. I said it on air over and over. I don't think it was Steve Kerr's best season. I think it was one of his worst seasons because it just felt like there was 2 basketball teams. And early on this year, it was starting to feel the same way, the whole 2 timeline thing. Hey, it's the veterans and it's the youngsters. No, let's mesh them into one team, one melting pot here. So that comes with feel. And it's tough, man. It's tough when you don't have practice. It's tough when you don't have shoot around. But it's also knowing your personnel. And I get what you're saying, FP. Trust me, I understand. We may not know what's happening at practice. We don't. We don't know what's going on the team playing. I don't know what's going on. I don't. They know a lot more about basketball than I do.
You probably hear more than I do, though.
No, but I mean, but it's all these coaches, Shanahan. And look, I could go off and on about Shanahan. I think he's a very good coach. But boy, he gets tight in big games. You can just feel it. But I don't know, man. It's Steve Kerr. I am interested to see how Warrior fans react to the Steve Kerr news as he signed a 2-year, $35 million extension Friday night.